Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our April Community Impact Forum. We're going to give it just a moment to allow everybody to join us. So give us a little bit of grace here for a second while we get everybody in. Thank you. I'm going to give it about 30 more seconds to let everyone in. One of the things we miss about not being in person is knowing who is with us. So I'd encourage all of you to say hello in the chat this morning, introduce yourself, tell us what company or organization you're with, so we can see who all is popping on the call with us this morning. So that chat box is at that bottom section of your screen. Go ahead and put your name and company so we can see who's with us. Awesome. All right. Well, welcome everybody. Good morning. My name is Tammy Welch. I am the president of the Arvada Chamber of Commerce. We're so thrilled to be providing a county update today with our two esteemed county managers from Jefferson County and Adams County. As you all know, Arvada is uniquely positioned in both counties. And so we've had the pleasure over the past few years, especially of working really closely as we've navigated COVID-19 and making sure that our local economy thrives. Today, we're going to be highlighting the accomplishments, challenges, trends, and much, much more with our county managers, and we're really looking forward to that discussion. Before we get started today, I'd like to take a moment to thank the elected officials and dignitaries who've joined us today. As always, this is much more challenging via Zoom, so if I miss you, please let me know, and I would love to make sure that I recognize you appropriately. I know we have from Arvada City Council, Mayor Pro Tem Dot Miller, John Marriott, Nancy Ford, and Lauren Simpson with us today. We have all three Jefferson County Commissioners joining us, Andy Kerr, Leslie Dahlkemper, and Tracy Kraft-Tharp. State Senator Rachel Zinzinger has joined us this morning, as has Ashley Verville from Congressman Perlmutter's office. We also have Fire Board Member Bob Leverage with us and Fire Chief Mike Piper. I also would love to invite our candidates. I know there's a number of you on the call today who are running for office in 2021 to be able to put your name and what you're running for in the chat box. We'd love to know who you are and what you're running for. We also would like to take a moment to thank all of our incredible sponsors. The work we do as an organization is not possible without the support of the amazing businesses and organizations you see listed on the screen here. So a big thank you, as always, to our sponsors. We do have a lot going on here at the Arvada Chamber, and so a couple quick updates for you. I do want to invite you to our State of the City address on May 21st. This will be an in-person event, which we're very excited about. More details coming soon, but save the date for May 21st. We've also recently signed a contract with a company called Thriving Cultures, and we are excited to be launching a diversity, equity, and inclusion effort here in Arvada, making sure we understand the needs of our community and we're serving it appropriately. So you'll see a survey coming out next week as we go through that auditing process and make sure we have clear understanding. We have opened up award nominations for Business and Nonprofit of the Year. So please make sure that you think about who deserves that and get those nominations in by May 15th. We also recently launched a bill tracker. We have a very active advocacy group within the Arvada Chamber, and they've been working very, very hard this legislative session. And so we'll drop in the chat a link to our bill tracker. This is where you can see the positions, and there's many that we've taken this year on the bills that impact our business community. And then finally, a big, big shout out and thank you to our marketing director, Ryan Hecht, for putting together our priority toolkits. We'll have one for each of our 7 priority areas as we move forward. But right now we have workforce resiliency and marketing. In these toolkits, you can better understand the background, the trends, as well as the work that we're doing to improve those issues within our community. So certainly a lot happening, and we're thrilled to be keeping you all in the loop through these events. It is now my pleasure to move to the main event here and introduce our two panelists. As I noted, we have Don Davis from Jefferson County and Ray Gonzalez from Adams County joining us today. I will be dropping in the chat here in a second their bios because they're both incredible and have esteemed backgrounds, but I know none of you want to hear me read for the length of their tenure and their experience within our community. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and start today with our Jefferson County Manager, Don Davis, giving us a quick update on what's going on in Jefferson County.
Thank you, Cammie. Let me get everything situated here. It's a little awkward sometimes. So can you hear me? Everything okay? Okay, so Cammie told me I had to start out with some dad jokes because I'm notorious for some dad jokes. So I might have to do that. Which bear is the most condescending? The panda. What kind of noise does a witch's vehicle make? Vroom, 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 vroom. What's brown and sticky? A stick. All right, with that, and last but not least, how do you get a country girl's attention? A tractor. All right, that's enough for the dad jokes. Cammie, I hope that met your goal with the dad jokes.
The best you've had, everybody. Don. That was so good. Thank you.
All right. So my name is Don Davis. I'm the Jefferson County manager. I've been the manager now for 4 years, and I joined the team from the United States Marine Corps, where I served for 27 years. So I've been really fortunate to be a part of a fantastic team. We have approximately 3,000 employees in Jefferson County in order to serve almost 600,000 citizens. We've got about a $650 million budget. And we've got 774 square miles of land to serve. And so little demographics there. I'm sure everybody's familiar with that because we have a lot of elected officials and local business owners. Let me get to share my screen. Okay, I think you got to stop sharing. Okay, never mind. It'll take me over. Okay, share. How's that, Cammie? Is that good? Perfect. Okay. So where have we been? We've been going through pretty tough times in the last year, and you can see here by the graph. This is our percent positive. Many of you have seen this. You participated in our weekly updates with public health, and Dr. Comstock has done a great job of trying to keep us updated and to move us in the right direction. You can see that in our older populations, we're trending down, and that's a good thing because more of our older population has been getting immunized, and you can see the different stages in terms of who has been eligible to receive vaccinations. And of course, everybody 16 and up now is able to get those vaccinations. So we're very hopeful that these numbers will continue to go down. We are seeing some trends with the younger folks that are going up, which was probably expected given that everybody was going back to school. All right. And then you can see the hospitalizations. I think what we started out with, it was pretty tough back last year, but then we've been relatively flat, and with our largest population of 50 to 69 years old being in the hospital. But again, we feel pretty comfortable or confident that we're moving in the right direction as long as our partners and everybody in our community continue to do the things that we need to do to keep ourselves safe and healthy. Here's our vaccine data to date. When this data was out, we think we were in the second place in the state as far as getting vaccine into the arms of our residents. Combined efforts have yielded about 40% of Jeffco residents having received at least one dose of the vaccine, and 4% have received both doses. Jeffco has about 64,000 residents over the age of 70, and about 99,000 over 65. We're making good progress towards the 70% goal, and with the supply increases and continued partnerships with our community partners like Colorado Community Health Alliance, CCHA, Benefits in Action, Evergreen Community, Paramedics, Mountain Rescue Center, SRC, of course, and other senior serving agencies. We expect to meet the 70% goal and to exceed it as we've been doing here Next slide. So how about CARES funding? This is what we received. We received $101 million last year as a part of the CARES Act. This is a little bit of a breakdown about how we split that up. We really tried to help the cities out and push money down to the cities as quickly as possible, and that was something that Ray and I worked on together, along with some of the other Front Range counties, in order to have a similar approach in terms of distributing the money and getting it out to our communities. And so we worked really hard towards doing that. For the American Rescue Plan, here's what we expect. We expect $114 million to come to Jeffco, about $46 million directly to the cities in Jeffco. You can see here some of the breakdown for the cities. And we expect a total of almost $200 million to come into Jeffco local governments. Here's how it's going to look in terms of the different buckets. There is the blue buckets represent, or the blue path represents the path directly to Jefferson County. I think there was some guidance that came out last night. We're going through that now to see exactly what some of the requirements are, because we think that's going to be very important. We're surveying our community and our stakeholders to see what the needs are. We know what we did with the CARES Act in terms of distributing funds and collecting data and understanding what the needs of the community was. But now we want to go out and survey and see what those continued, because things have changed since we distributed the CARES Act dollars. And so we want to make sure that we're addressing the most pressing needs and we can prioritize things. We expect this money to come in over the next 2 years. So $114 million, about half of that, 113, about half of that will come in this year and the other half next year. And then you can see in the green buckets, or the green show the path of funding that Jeffco may receive, but we don't know what the funding amounts will be and how we get into those buckets of money, but we'll be tracking that closely. And again, as soon as those are available, we hope to be able to take advantage of those support mechanisms. And of course, the gray boxes are the other aspects of the $1.9 trillion rescue plan. They don't necessarily affect Jeffco directly, but there may be funds that are available from those buckets as well. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ray. I don't want to steal any of his thunder. He warned me not to take up too much of his time. So I wanted to make sure that my brother from another mother, Ray Gonzalez, had an opportunity to share his good words. Ray?
I love that. Thank you, Don. I appreciate you doing such a great, concise update to give Ray the floor there. I want to take a moment to welcome Ray as well and share a little bit about my background with Ray. Ray is actually the person that hired me into the chamber industry 11 years ago at the Brighton Chamber of Commerce. So I have a long history of working with Ray, and I'm grateful that that partnership continues. So thank you, Ray, for getting me into such an amazing field, and thank you for being with us today.
Well, thank you, Cami. You're doing an amazing job for the city of Arvada, and we are lucky to have you leading the chamber. And Don, great job. And I want to congratulate you and your county commissioners and all of your elected officials for really addressing the needs of the community during this pandemic. I know it was tough for all of us to get through, but if there's one thing that I learned, it was we all supported each other. We lifted each other up when we were down, and that goes a long way when you're trying to, really try to find new ways to do business when you're forced to work from home and to really try to address those needs via online services. So thank you so much, Don. Great job. I'm going to have my presentation up in a moment. I'm going to give you a quick overview of how we responded to COVID in Adams County. And it was a very unique situation because, when you're addressing a pandemic or, some sort of natural disaster, the role of the elected official is critical. And most elected officials want to step foot in the emergency management area. And so for me, it was critical that I identify a role for our 5 county commissioners. And so our community response to this pandemic was really a collective effort of cross-sector partners, and we established 7 emergency response teams that were championed by county commissioners and chaired by subject matter experts around 7 critical areas. But before I dive into that, I want to paint a picture of Adams County. We are the 5th largest county in the state. We have about 550,000 residents, and I am shy of $600 million budget, and I have 2,500 employees. And so it was really critical that we pull together and come up with a response and recovery strategy to address the needs of our community. And what's unique about Adams County is that during this pandemic, we were able to identify that 60% of our workforce were essential. So while the rest of the region had the luxury of working from home, 60% of Adams County residents were forced to go to work. And I'll just remind you, our top 5 employers, all essential. We are very fortunate to have Anschutz Medical Campus in Adams County. We have several Amazon fulfillment centers. We have regional headquarters of UPS and FedEx located here. Denver International Airport is in Adams County, and all 5 major highways intersect in Adams County. And so that presented challenges during this pandemic. And so we were always the county in the Denver metro region leading. We were the highest in transmission rates. And I think a lot of that was attributed to those being, essential workers. They had no choice but to go to work. And so I'm going to kind of go over our CARES Act funding. And I will tell you, Don and I worked hand in hand on coming up with the formula that we presented to the county commissioners to adopt. And I will tell you, we were the 2 first counties to roll out our funding to our municipalities. In Adams County, we received $90 million. And I'm very proud to say within 2 weeks of that, we pushed $34 million to our cities within 2 weeks of receiving that CARES Act funding. It was important for us to push and infuse this CARES Act funding into our community. What I'm really proud about is that of the 90 million, I only kept 4 million for Adams County government. We pushed the rest of it into our community. We supported our local school districts, our fire districts. We gave our public health agency more funding and resources. And what's really unique is that through our response and recovery teams, we funded nearly $20 million worth of services to support those critical needs in our community. We also established a CARES Act Oversight Committee. We had IGAs with our municipalities, and so it was really important for us to make sure that those dollars were spent in accordance with the guidelines issued by the federal government. And so that oversight committee was critical because I did not want to return 1 cent back to the feds. So as we look at our 7 response and recovery teams, I did mention to you that we had 7 critical areas that were championed by commissioners, and they did an outstanding job. So the first one I want to talk about is aging adults. We have over 65,000 aging adults in Adams County. So Commissioner Odoricio championed this response team, and it was co-chaired by 2 critical community leaders, Rebecca Zamora, who works for Adams County in community safety and well-being, and Stephanie Knight, who is the executive director of the Senior Hub. One of the things that I am proud of that we established was the Well Elder program through our technical assistance funds. We made sure we established a call center so that we could make sure that our aging adults who were isolating in their homes by themselves received companion calls. It was important for us to do wellness checks. We scheduled delivery and pickup of groceries and prescription drugs. And we also provided a host of resource sharing. We also supported material aid, technology mini grants for our senior population. We purchased iPads for them. They had to adjust to this new world of virtual meetings, virtual doctor appointments, and so forth. And we also provided medical gap support because we found that a lot of our residents were missing their appointments in which were causing their benefits to be placed in jeopardy. And so moving on to the next one, and I'm trying to get through these quick, was our business support and retention task force. And I will tell you, Tammy Welch and Daniel Riley from Arvada played a critical role on this response team. It was championed by Commissioner Mary Hodge and chaired by Ryan Nolte, our Director of Economic Development. But through this, we established nearly $10 million of business support and assistance to support our business community, to help them with compliance measures, to help them do technology upgrades, to purchase touchless pay systems. And we, as you could see on the slide, we offered a variety of different mechanisms. And what I'm very proud of is that we partnered with our local chambers. We passed this money down to them to help us get it in the hands of those small business leaders. The next one is childcare. You know, because we are a county of essential workers, Commissioner Pinter championed this, and it was chaired by Lisa Thompson, who is the Executive Director of Early Childhood Partnership of Adams County. But what was really critical is that we got voice and perspective from all of our childcare providers, whether they're home-based or certified providers. And so we did pulse surveys, and we actually infused about $1 million into childcare facilities to help address the childcare needs. And so the next one is food security and basic essentials, that was championed by Commissioner Tedesco. This is where we helped really push a lot of policy to expand SNAP benefits. We aligned our resources and our policies to meet the needs of those who were in dire need of food and basic essentials. Some of the things that we provided was transportation support. Our food hubs in Adams County lacked the necessary transportation to be able to deliver this food. So we partnered with several different private sector companies to help deliver this food and make sure it got into the hands of those that needed it the most. We were providing an average of 14,000 meals a day for students and their families, and we partnered with all of our school districts. And so this area was critical, and this area is still critical because we're still addressing those needs. The next one was housing stability. One of the things championed by Commissioner Eva Henry and chaired by Peter Lafari, who is our executive director of Maker Housing. And one of the first programs that we lifted through this effort was an emergency rental and mortgage assistance fund. We have provided millions of dollars to keep people in their homes. That was probably one of our #1 priorities, was to make sure that people were kept in their homes, and it was homelessness prevention that was a critical need. And we also provided utility assistance. One of the unique things about our program was the fact that we allowed landlords to apply for this, because we were finding that our tenants were not taking advantage of these resources. And so we opened it up to landlords, and we were able to keep a lot of our residents in their homes. The next one is unemployed and future workforce, which was also championed by Commissioner Pinter and chaired by Roxanne White and Kathy Palish, who just retired from Front Range Community College. But we established 2 critical funds. One was Left Behind Workers Fund, who those individuals that did not qualify for unemployment insurance benefits. We provided additional resources up to $1,500 to help cover some of those benefits that they did not qualify through the federal government. And Low Wage Worker Fund is for restaurant service industry workers who were fearful of taking the COVID test and becoming positive and then being required to quarantine for 12 days. So that Low Wage Worker Fund covered their lost wages if they had to quarantine for 12 days. It was critical that we try everything we can to keep them employed during this time. The next one is uninsured and healthcare access, championed by Commissioner Tedesco and co-chaired by Brittany Morris Saunders, who left. I need to update that. She is now with Amazon. And then Maria Zubia, who is the Director of Community Outreach for Kids First Health. This one really focused on COVID testing. We partnered with the governor's office and CDPHE and established a COVID testing site that provided COVID testing to 4,000 residents per day. We tested over 300,000 Coloradoans at Waterworld. We also established mobile testing units to help test our homeless populations and those that are uninsured. We went into the communities and tested in mobile home communities through our mobile testing sites. And so that was championed. One of the things I'm most proud of is that this response and recovery team hit the ground running. It was a grassroots level. And when the governor extended that open enrollment period to help Coloradoans get access to healthcare, this team made sure we had deemed over 50,000 Adams County residents were uninsured. We hit the ground running, and as a result of that, we were able to register over 2,000 Adams County registered who have access to healthcare right now. And so that was a critical success and a win for this team. Moving on, some of the things that I'd like to highlight in terms of being innovative is that we established a website for this. It was critical and important that we established a standalone website that captured everything that we were doing through at Adams County, all the resources and all the data that we were able to do. The next one is a mobile app for our residents. You know, within the first month of launching this mobile app, we had over 1,000 downloads. And so this app is critical because it also shows hotspots and it also provides resources to residents, and it shows several things to support our local business community. Moving on, we had a Pledge to Protect campaign. We were forced to, and we had no choice but to put together a mitigation plan because we were leading in transmission rates. And so we issued a Pledge to Protect program in partnership with all of our businesses and community members to really help drive compliance and masking requirements. One of the things that I love to do is to make sure that we demonstrate data and demonstrate our results. We're very outcomes focused here. So we created a active COVID-19 dashboard. Every dollar spent, every penny spent, we have accounted for. We could tell you how many dollars went to support residents in certain neighborhoods and so forth. And so this is all available through our covid19.org website. And so it's pretty cool. And it tells you how many people loans we provided to, or not loans, but mortgage assistance we provided to in terms of areas and heat maps and so forth. So it's pretty cool. And then we pushed. What we found in Adams County is that we were not as innovative as I'd like to be, but we pushed for online services. And so we transitioned this. We were one of the first counties to close, which I got criticism in the state, but I will tell you, we were able to respond and we pushed hard. Now all of our services are available online. I will, and then the other thing is ADCO to Go, which Tammy Welch had a lot to do with, and this is a really a restaurant takeout application that really helped us promote all of our local restaurants and businesses during the pandemic. And I want to just congratulate Tammy for really helping Adams County get this up off the ground. And so I'm going to end there, Tammy. I hope I didn't go over, but I will tell you, I am just proud to be a Coloradoan. We have worked really hard together. All of the county commissioners, all the elected officials have worked really hard to address the needs of the community. And I serve on the International City County Management Association on the executive board, and Colorado is leading in terms of response and recovery and addressing COVID. And I'm just proud to be part of the team that is making this happen. And I also want to congratulate Don for the great work he's doing in Jeffco. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Ray. I appreciate that. Great update. Don, I'll have you go ahead and turn your camera back on. We're going to move into a Q&A section, and I would love to make this engaging with all of you. And so if you have questions you want to ask, big or small, there is that Q&A box that you can activate. You're also welcome to use that chat box, but I will remind that we have offered up a civility pledge here in Arvada, and we're encouraging everybody to make sure that we're supporting our view that this is a safe place. We have diverse viewpoints, and we commit to sharing those in a respectful and open-minded way. So as you're activating, please make sure you keep that in mind. I know you all will, but we want to make this engaging. I will draw your attention to the Q&A. Don was gracious enough to answer Christine's question that was in there around COVID-19 restrictions. And so there is a link in there to the new public health order. So would encourage you to take a peek at that. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into a few questions that we preset while you guys are thinking about your questions, and I'll keep an eye on that Q&A box. So I'll take turns on who gets to answer first, but we're going to start by talking a little bit about innovation. I know, Ray, you shared a little bit of how you guys innovated around COVID. Don, I would ask you to reflect on innovation holistically around your county and how you use that to drive efficiencies and improve outcomes.
Thank you, Cami. Probably the biggest thing that we have in Jefferson County is what we call Resilient Jeffco. And the purpose of Resilient Jeffco is to examine things that we're doing and come up with creative solutions. We bring on interns and college students to help us evaluate different programs and to help us identify things that will save money, help us increase our service to the community. I think there's a lot of things that we can do. We've learned so much through this pandemic, right? Because 2 years ago, nobody would have ever thought that we could be teleworking to the extent that we are now, right? I mean, nobody would think that we would have this many people sitting here on a screen and interacting and doing what we used to think we had to do in person. I don't think we'll ever return to the way it was, but I think we'll have some sort of hybrid. And so we've been doing things like working on hybrid solutions for our board and for our commissions and so forth to be able to operate both in a physical and in a virtual environment. So we've done a lot of things there as well. We've got our website. We've evolved it to include chat functionality, and we've moved to appointments, which believe it or not, you've got this walk-in thing, and that's great. And, we always have to have the ability for people to be able to walk in, but making appointments and doing things as simple as that has increased efficiency. It's also driven things like our clearing recorder's office. Recorder Stern has done some great things in motor vehicles. We've partnered with them to bring a lot of their services online so that the DMV can use the chat function, can answer questions online. So they're able to serve even more customers. I mean, I think everybody in their public meetings is even seeing more participation in the government process, right? I mean, where we used to maybe get a handful of people show up to our commissioner hearings, it's not uncommon to have 50, 60 or more 100 to participate now. And we never had those numbers before. So it's great that we're getting more participation. And I think, technology and those types of things have really helped us. Some of the things, community resources, we've worked with community resources to provide information like Ray, dashboards, all the types of things that he talked about. I didn't do it as eloquently or as fancy as Ray did, but we were doing all the same things. We have a community needs task force, which is broken down into work groups that involve communications, vulnerable populations, businesses, services, and employment, housing and homeless, food and emergency assistance, healthcare, childcare, and volunteers. So we've got all those work groups. And we even, as you know, Cami, we have the business task force where we're meeting every week. And our commissioners have been doing a fantastic job. I don't know how they do it. They're everywhere all the time. Appreciate they're here today. But like Ray's commissioners, ours are everywhere. They're championing our causes, getting the word out, listening to the community and collecting their needs, feeding it back to staff, and we're pushing it out. And so, you know, we're leveraging technology, and we're doing our best to innovate to figure out how we can deliver services. I think the future, one of the things that Ray did, we did it first. So Ray did it after we did it, but we went to a 4-day business week. And I think Ray also moved, I think he's doing, Ray, you're doing Mondays, right? So our attrition rate, just so you know, in 2019, our attrition rate was somewhere between 13 and 14%. After we went to the 4-day business week, we think it was a major contributor. Our attrition is down at about 9%. And so, and that's through the pandemic. So to have our attrition go down while we were going through the pandemic and everything is a pretty great accomplishment. But I think it has to do with being willing to kind of step out and try something that may or may not be popular. It's been popular. I mean, we've not gotten any complaints really relative to the services. Service hasn't dropped down. In fact, I think it's increased because on the other days, we're doing 410s on the other days. So there's a little bit of expanded service on those other days, but attrition costs a lot for the county. We estimate about $1 million for every 1%. So by going from 13% down to 9%, basically saving the county $4 million just in training and all the things that have to occur from the turnover. So I think I'll stop there because I think Ray gets a chance to kind of answer the same question. And I know we share so much ideas. I will tell you that another thing for innovation, I meet almost weekly when the pandemic started with the city managers in Jefferson County. Now we've kind of pushed it back to monthly, bi-weekly. We meet Ray and I and the other Front Range county managers. We get together as often as we can, and we leverage our organizations, ICMA, CCCMA, and of course I'm using a bunch of acronyms that people may not know. International City Manager Association, City County Manager Association, Colorado City County Manager Association. Of course, CCI is a part, they're connected with CCCMA, and we're able to do a lot of things there. And then we've got the Association of Colorado Counties, and I'm the vice president of that organization. So we do our best. We've got listserv. We're leveraging all those things to share. So I'll stop there.
I think that's great, Don. And one of the things you both have recognized, and this was on my mind too, was just the level of collaboration and working together. I think this past year has shown a light on the opportunity for people to have those conversations and bring in those external stakeholders. And it's been really heartwarming for me to see that. And I think it's driven innovation and driven outcomes with that additional support. So thank you both for referencing that. Ray, why don't you reflect on innovation for us?
Well, what comes to mind is our vision statement in Adams County. Our vision statement is to be the most inclusive and innovative county in America for all families and businesses. And so the word innovation really drives our behavior in the organization. And I don't believe in one person driving innovation. So I know I get criticized when I say, when an organization or a company has a chief innovation officer, I make innovation responsible for, every employee in Adams County has a responsibility to innovate, and it's part of everyone's job description to innovate and be inclusive. And so our approach is a little unique in Adams County. And so how I also support innovation is we've established an innovation fund for our employees to be able to submit innovative projects. And so that fund is $50,000 each year, and we fund at least a dozen projects, and it has to be work related. But I'm going to focus on one project. Our public works highway manager came to me and said, I want to be innovative and I want to create our own gravel road mix. And in Adams County, we have over 1,700 miles of gravel road in eastern Adams County. And so when I first came on board, we were only appropriating $50,000 for maintenance. And when we started doing town halls, in-person town halls, those residents in eastern Adams County were coming out with pitchforks saying, we pay tax dollars. Why do our roads, we can't even drive on our roads. And so our public works manager created a gravel road mix that has reduced maintenance down to once a year. We have invested nearly $15 million, and we will have resurfaced all 1,700 miles now the issues on those roads are speeding. It is like driving on pavement. And so we've hosted countries of Peru, Africa. They are interested in this gravel road mix. We just received a NACO award for our gravel road program, and we are proud to share that with all of other rural counties in Colorado who we've hosted as well. So that kind of is, and before our public works nailed the gravel road mix, he failed 6 times. And so he landed it on the 7th time. And so that kind of drives the behavior in our organization. And it's okay to fail in our organization. That's what makes us a great place to work.
Awesome. Thank you, Ray. Great answer to that. And who'd have thought gravel mix? That's such a cool thing and things we don't think about. So that is kind of the transition to my next question. And you guys both know we're passionate about developing talent pipeline here in Arvada. And so we always like to ask the question when we bring on people like you guys about your role. So tell us what the day in the life of a county manager looks like. And I will note, we did this at our mayor's roundtable a couple of years ago, and Bud Starker from Wheat Ridge described being a mayor like being Santa and had this really robust description of his elves and the whole situation. So I have high expectations to how you'll answer these questions. Ray, you're first.
Oh my goodness, let Don go.
Oh, okay, Don, go.
Negative, Ghost Rider. I've been the first time. You get to go,
Okay.
and I'll feed off of you.
All right. I will tell you, being the county manager, and I know I speak for Don, has plenty of challenges. I never had interest in being a number one. I've always, if you look at my profession and my career pathway, I've been a strong number 2. And so that's where I feel like I belong. But I will tell you, when the commissioners appointed me as the county manager, I had no choice but to take the bull by its horns and lead. And so I'm having fun. But I think the life of a county manager changes daily. Yesterday, I referenced this question and I thought, oh my goodness, I put out 6 fires yesterday. And that's what drives the energy for me to excel. I love being busy, and that's, I know this is a boring answer. I wish I had a response like the mayor did, but and I wish I could describe being a county manager like Santa Claus, but it's not that way. Don, how can you help me address this question?
About the closest thing, I don't know, for those of you that remember, Jim Carrey used to Fire Marshal Bill. I feel like we're going around putting out fires all day.
Yes.
Every day is Groundhog Day. We have, it's a 3,000 roughly, and raised near that too. It's just such a large organization. You have so many different things. I mean, everything from, development and transportation and all the things that are involved with planning and zoning, road and bridge, building safety. We've got an airport. Ray's got a spaceport, for crying out loud. I mean, we're going to be visiting Mars pretty soon from Adams County. It's going to be cool. But, and then you go to human services, and human services all by itself is a tremendous organization that serves our community day in and day out. You've got Head Start, children, youth, family, and, services. You've got community development and workforce, where Cammie, you and your team, and we work so much with the business community to help in that area. We've got parks and open space. I mean, Jeffco has got arguably the best, I would say unarguably, but we're here amongst friends, but the best open space program in the state and perhaps in the country, because we do such a great job. All the people from Denver and Adams County and everybody comes over to our open space. So we've got challenges there, and there's things that come up all the time. We've got justice services, business and innovation and technology. And then, of course, you got your internal human resources, IT, events and venues. You got a fairgrounds, you've got things like that. And that doesn't even include the elected officials, the assessor, the treasurer, clerk and recorder, and all the things that they need. So I will tell you, like Ray, I've got my fire hat. So, yeah, like me now. I'm Fire Marshal Bill. Give me that next fire, and I'm putting it out. Okay. Now, this is from a previous job when I was a Marine, but it reflects the fact that I have, it's a fire. We probably spend 10 to 20% of our time doing the stuff we planned to do for the day, and the other 80 or 90% of the time going after something we didn't even expect. So I hope that's a little Ray, you did a great answer. I just build off it, brother.
No, I appreciate that. I will tell you, we lean on each other for those of you listening, because when you're at the top, it gets lonely. And so we have a great support network. And I know Don mentioned this, but we meet on a regular basis with all the city managers, and we support each other in this profession. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Great answer, both. So I want to talk about challenges. And so you both referenced the challenge of the role you're in, but as you're thinking forward for your communities, what are those big, hairy challenges that you're trying to figure out how to tackle that we can all be aware of and be thinking about? We'll start with, I think we did Ray first last time, so Don, you're up first.
All right. I will say that, and I don't know if this is for Ray, but I think if there was one thing that I think is the biggest challenge for all the Front Range counties, not just Jefferson County, it's responsible development. I've said that since I got here, because everybody wants to move to the Front Range. We are the Silicon Valley of the Rockies, right? Everybody wants to be all the way down from Pueblo, all the way up through Larimer and Fort Collins and so forth. And I think they love the Denver area. They love easy access to the mountains, easy access to a lot of different things. And so it's very attractive. We've got very smart people. We've got great attributes that make living in the Front Range the place to be, to live, work, play, and study. We've got great academic institutions as well. And so I think because everybody wants to come here, responsible development and transportation and building. We've only got so much water. We only have so much land. We have wildfire. Our commissioners, and in particular, Commissioner Dahlkemper, has been working very much on our wildfire urban interface and all of those things. I mean, we've got sustainability issues. Commissioner Kerr has kind of taken some of those things up. We've got noise, and we've got airport operations, and Commissioner Kraft-Tharp has been working on that front. And so we've got all these things, and they're intersecting, and you've got people who want development to come and want business to come, and you've got plenty of people who don't. We've got anti-growth initiatives. We've got growth. I mean, it's all over. So I think if there's the biggest thing for us to all work on, and in particular this group, is how do we if it just happens, we don't have the chance to shape it. And so I think responsible development is probably the most pressing issue on the Front Range in terms of, especially for the foothills, because you've got a lot of environmental, we don't have a lot of building space. We don't have a lot of area that's buildable. And so at least not once you get out of the foothills, it's all competitive. And so what might have been zoned for residential goes commercial, and we have very limited commercial and residential. And so I think responsible development is probably the biggest challenge, and it's something that's going to be here for the next 5, 10, 20 years.
Perfect. Great answer. Ray, how about you? Biggest challenge?
I certainly agree with my colleague, Don. I'm going to keep this related to COVID. And I would say the greatest challenge that, we're dealing with is finding balance. And that could be in anything we do, right? Because, but I'm going to relate it to COVID, and that is, opening the economy on one hand while protecting the safety and health of our community. And that has been the greatest challenge for all of us in leadership roles, because while we want to open and we want our businesses to thrive, we have an ethical obligation to serve everyone in our community and protect everyone in our community at the same time. So finding that balance is critical. And I feel like we've done a great job in Colorado managing COVID. And so I'm going to leave it at that, because that has been the greatest. I've been watching a lot of chat about, does Jeffco move to blue today? And does Adams County, all the metro regions? And I will tell you, behind the scenes, there was lots of conversations going on about what's best for the metro Denver region. And what I love about it is that it was a regional approach, because as I told our public health director, Adams County can't be on an island by itself. And so while the rest of the world, because we felt that way through this entire process. And so when we talk about transitioning to blue and then to clear, I'm just thankful and grateful that everyone is doing it together as one large region.
We are also thankful. That is one of the big things we hear from businesses often. It's just consistency, right? If I own multiple locations across the metro area, if it's different regulations in each community, it's really challenging. So we appreciate that collaboration for sure. So you both have talked about challenges and how much you're juggling. So I want to talk about mental health and talk about how you guys both personally and for your teams navigate and avoid mental health challenges and burnout. So Ray, we're going to start with you this time.
Well, I am proud to say that we strive to be an employer of choice, Cami, and part of that is what we would consider our wellness program. We have received the championship award for our wellness program from United Healthcare for the last 5 years, and we have 2 medical providers, United Healthcare and Kaiser. And one of the things that I'm most proud of is that wellness piece, is that we really focus on financial wellness, mental wellness, physical wellness, and emotional wellness. And so we, in Adams County, we have 2 healthcare clinics on site for our employees that are free. We have no copays, and for about 90% of their prescriptions are free. And so, and we don't even charge them sick time to go to access that. And most private sector people are like, why is local government doing that? Well, my response is that it has reduced our healthcare premiums to the point where they have remained flat for the last 3 years, and in some cases have dropped. And we have actually received a profit, or not a profit, but money back. And so we have since then pushed that money. And 1 year we gave our employees a $7.60 check so that they can go buy themselves a Starbucks cup or support their local coffee shop. But I will tell you, that has helped us really. We've identified and prevented diabetes. We've prevented some major health risks by really pushing our wellness program. And we just added mental health to that during this last year. We had a series of employees that just could not work from home any longer. And so we really had to step up and put a lot of resources to our wellness program during this pandemic. And so I'm very proud of our wellness program. It's all about changing behavior. And that's my approach to wellness.
Awesome. How do you relieve stress, Ray? What's your personal tip for stress relief?
Oh, my goodness. What's my personal tip? Gosh, that's a good question. I'm going to come back to that. Let me think about that if I can. Because honestly, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I as a leader worry about my employees, and so I carry a lot of burden on my shoulders. And yesterday this snow, we had an employee fall on the ice and rush to the hospital. And I was, because of COVID restrictions, I was on the phone with his wife all night, just making sure he was okay. Sometimes I'm going to be honest, I don't, well, actually I have, and I just thought about that. Over COVID, I gained 20 plus pounds. And so how I relieve stress is I now have a personal trainer and I go work out. And I started that in November, and I've lost a little over 20 pounds since. So that's how I relieve stress. So I know it was a long answer, sorry.
Yeah, but I love that. That's good context to the burden that you carry as the leader of such a critical organization for our community. So I appreciate that. And congratulations, that's a big accomplishment. So thank you, Ray. Don, how about you?
Everything that Ray said, same thing. We have an award-winning wellness program that we've been getting awards, not just from local organizations, but from national organizations. So we really pride ourselves in mind, body, and spirit, and really reaching out to our employees, encouraging their health in all of those areas. The 4-day business week has helped with mental health. Mental health is really near and dear to my heart as a Marine. Because PTSD and mental health issues have historically been in the closet, and people don't want to talk about them, and it's not okay. And so as long as guys like Ray and I and you know, all of the, and I say guys, but all of the leaders that we have in our community are willing to talk about it. I mean, unfortunately, Colorado is one of the leading states in the nation in suicide. And the stress level for our people is incredibly high. I mean, just like Ray, we have got people breaking down, and we've been working them hard. And working at home would seem like, you know, there was this stigma that people would work less or they wouldn't work at all or whatever. And of course, there's always going to be some people who are taking advantage of some of that. But what we find is the inverse, that people are working too hard. They're not getting away from their computer. Where you used to have time in between meetings where you would run into somebody and talk to them and ask them how the family is and all those types of things. And you're not doing that anymore. You're clicking off the button and you're joining the next conference, and there's no break. You're working from home, so there's not that commute for you to decompress or get prepared for the day. And we have a mental health hotline. We have connection to Jefferson Center for Mental Health. And I require all of my leaders to get the mental health first aid course so that they know what the signs are, and we can take care of one another. Ray said it, he hit the nail on the head in the military, same thing. Being at the top is a very lonely position because the only people you really can talk to is other people who are at the top. And you got to take care of yourself. You put your oxygen mask on first before you can help other people. And if guys like, if I'm really struggling, I don't hesitate to call Ray or Amy Folsom down in El Paso County, or other compadres, Linda Hoffman up in Larimer. And I'll go to my ACA team. I mean, part of the things, the conferences that we go to, we haven't been able to do those conferences. So we don't have, that is an opportunity for us to decompress. And so very much mental health is a huge challenge, and it's very, like Ray, I care about all of my people, and we do carry the burden of our people. When people are getting sick or when people are stressed out or someone, you know, has a heart attack or a stroke or whatever, we're there and we feel it. And it's hard, but fortunately with the support of our commissioners and our elected officials, you know, they understand as well, and they really value us. I appreciate the support that I get from the board and from the surrounding community.
I love that. Thank you both for those reflections. You have huge jobs, and we recognize that your leadership in that, and clearly you care deeply, and we really value that in our community. So thank you for that. I'd like to do one more kind of planned question, and then we do have a question in the chat as well about festivals and kind of the planning on the public health side of things for large group gatherings. So I'll give you guys a second to think about if we have the resources to answer that question. And while you do, I'm going to ask you a question about your kind of vision for your various counties. So looking 5 years ahead, 20 years ahead, and I'm going to ask for super concise answers, probably 1 minute each. What do you see as the vision for your county as we think ahead 5 years, 20 years, and explain that to us? Don, you are first this time. Oh, you're muted, Don.
Thanks for that. That was going off. Our vision, our county vision, is to be a county government that provides innovative, efficient, quality service to a thriving and safe community. We're actually working with a consultant right now to develop our long-term strategy and vision. We want to confirm the things that we already know, but we're looking also for the things that we don't know. We had a couple of listening sessions yesterday. One was with the community, and one was, of course, with the business side. I think you might have been on that one, Cammie, but we were soliciting what the needs are of our community and those types of things. And so as we work on our strategy going forward, the goal is to make Jeffco the place that everybody wants to come and live, work, play, and study. And like Ray, and I think it requires that the folks, the area that does that, it's not just limited by county boundaries. It is our area. And that's why it's so important for Ray and I to work together, as well as the other counties, so that people, 2/3 of the people that work in Jefferson County do not live in Jefferson County. And so there's a partnership with our surrounding counties in terms of taking care of our people. So we're looking forward to the future. Things are going to be great.
Yes, I love the bright future. Ray, how about you? 1 minute on vision for Adams County.
Well, we will be the most innovative and inclusive county in America for all. We will be home to 1 million residents. We will no longer be the dumping grounds and a place where residents could go to Colorado Air and Spaceport and purchase a ticket to Tokyo and aboard a space plane and get there in less than 3 hours.
Perfect. Very good visions. And I love that. Clearly, you're both innovative leaders. Does anybody have feedback for Mayor Pro Tem Miller about festivals as is asked in the question box? So go ahead.
Oh, can you repeat the question real quick?
Yeah, so just wondering the thoughts on large scale events as we move into summer, and if we start to see super spreader events, does that shut down the remainder of festivals? So just some broad thinking around how we gather.
You know, in my conversations, I think any events that are held out in public are going to have less restrictions. And so we're moving forward with our county fair this year. So I hope that helps answer your question. We're moving forward with our 4th of July celebration this year. And so unless the governor issues additional public health orders that provides more restrictive restrictions that prevent us from doing that, then we'll adhere to those. But right now there's none. So we're moving forward.
Awesome. Well, thank you both for joining us. I am incredibly grateful for your leadership and commitment to our region. You guys are incredible, and I'm pleased that I've been able to work with you more closely over the past year.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would also like to remind all of you, we're so excited to be back in person. Speaking of events, next month for the State of the City address. Again, keep an eye out for that announcement. And our plan going forward is that we will be in person starting in May going forward for these community impact forums. And so we're thrilled to be back together in that way. And we'll look forward to seeing all of you in person in May. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.